Hi, Kevin Blanch. I'm getting back to nuclear radiation. I'm going to put out some information for some sources where you guys can go on long-term effects to radiation. I've been working on a book for several years now. I've been working with the Justice Department, heavily involved in the atomic veterans nightmare for well over a decade now, and I've been immersed in this whole thing. When this happened in Japan, this isn't some new subject I've jumped into, and my early subscribers, they know this. I've been all over. So what I'm going to do right now, and I'll be building a page right now as I put this up on my site, so you guys can go to it. I'm going to give you really good sources. Look, I was going to save these sources until they all come out in my book, but I'm not. It's on right now. I need to get these sources out now. I'm going to put them out now. This is years and years of my studies, and I'm going to give you some of Leonard Bird's sources right now. And then I'm going to list them on my website. Like I said, I'm not just spewing off the hip of this thing. First off, Leonard Bird wrote this incredible book, Folding Paper Cranes, and I knew of Leonard Bird very well. Utah Press. Utahns are heavily involved in this. I had never read this book, but one of my early subscribers, who's a documentary filmmaker, sent me an email. He says, "You got to read that book, Kevin." So I ordered it, and and I knew all about Leonard Bird, whatever, and I read it, and I was like, wow. It's a magnificent piece of work. It is an incredible. It's talking about the death from nuclear fallout, and the Hiroshima complex and the Nevada complex, all of it. It's magnificent. But as I go through, he lists sources in there for his studies and work, and as I went through them, a lot of them cross with my sources. Now, first off, and I think this guy is extremely important. His name's John Goffman, and he does studies on the long-term effects from low-dose radiation. Now, his 1992 interview with Carol Gallagher, who's another brilliant photographer, journalist, documentary filmmaker who's been on this, John Goffman. Now, like I said, I'll be putting it right at the top of my page, blanchschwarz, today. I'll put this information up. Okay, Carol Gallagher, American Ground Zero, The Secret Nuclear War, believe it or not, from MIT Press. You know how I go up on these MIT nuclear scientists. I go up, here she is, an MIT girl. I bet you there's a conflict there, but she's brilliant. I have one of her photographs, a big one blown up in my office. Her work is incredible. She's like the Dorothy Lang of the nuclear nightmare. But anyway, Carol Gallagher, American Ground Zero, The Secret Nuclear War. Okay? Richard Miller, Under the Clouds, The Decades of Nuclear Testing. And here's my favorite. I love this woman. Her writing is absolutely incredible. She's a Utah writer. I've been using her sources for years and years in my research on this. Mary Dixon, Living and Dying with Fallout. She's a Mormon writer about Mormon history. She's absolutely incredible. She has documented so much work. Again, these are the books, and I'm going to be putting up my sources. Now look, I want to give you some background. I'm no crackpot. I want to give you some background. I still live on this ranch. I'm the 6th generation to grow up on this ranch here in Utah. My father, there was a group of sons, 4 sons. The oldest, his name's Harold Blanch, 17 years old, walked off, joined, like so many Americans did, was on Omaha Beach on D-Day, was in the Battle of the Bulge. These are the type of men who raised me. My father, Special Forces Marine, drafted, Dwayne Blanch, nuked the Nevada. We're talking as Semper Fi as they get. My other uncle, Colonel Claude Blanch, high brass at the Pentagon, fighter pilot at Nam. Went through all kinds of horrific freaking wars in there. He made me say, don't you be saying what I went, and I won't. I respect him. But anyway, that's the type of men who raised me. My father was nuked in the Nevada Special Forces. I just had a conversation with my mother this morning. She knows what I'm up to, whatever. And she says, it's amazing how he would tell you all these stories in confidence and would not tell me. And I says, because he didn't want to upset you. She didn't know that he'd been in the Nevada test site. She didn't know that he'd been nuked. He kept it confidential. He was Semper Fi as it gets, and he had when he died in his safe, he had every single newspaper article ever written on the effects of long-term radiation. So I've been heavily involved with the Justice Department. We have a piece of shit congressman here named Rob Bishop, who is an evil piece of shit. He has not helped. He spit in my mother's face is basically what he's done. Of course, Scott Matheson, our governor, was a downwinder, died. Jim Matheson's tried to help me out as much as he could. I like that guy. He's a Southern Utah guy. The Southern Utahs know, us Utahns know, but my sources, I'm going to start to put them out there. I was going to wait, put them in my book. I've been working on this book for a long, long, long time. I have dug in hardcore because I was so outraged at the death of my father, and I'm going to start listing them. You go to my site, blanchschwarz, right on the top of my site, I'm going to put a link, and I'm going to put it, long-term atomic radiation effects. And let me tell you something. I've dug in. I've seen the government data on the long-term tests of the atomic veterans, and they're fucking evil. They're evil to hold this up. They claim about the St. Louis fire, which is a crock of shit. You know, my dad got not one fucking dime. None of those fucking guys got one penny. Not a fucking medal, not death benefits, not a parade, not wrapped up in the flag, nothing. You want to talk fucking patriots, and all you fake fucking patriots are out there that wrap yourself up in the fucking flag, you know, the fucking George Bush draft dodging bunch of fascist fucks. This country did get fascist. McCarthy tried. It was a philosophy that did that to the atomic veterans then. It's a philosophy that's doing it now. It's fascist. You know, and if people think I'm off in fucking la-la-ville calling the fucking far-right fascism, why do you think our great forefathers, why do you think they separated church and state? Fucking the church of fucking in England had the fucking religion fucking tied up. They controlled your life. Why do you think they were all dyers? Why do you think they all come out and did what they did? And we try to backdoor that. Why do you think we have the three branches of government? Why do you think we have all of this? And these guys, what is the definition of fascism? When the mainstream religious philosophy takes control, not only does it get into the politics, it gets into the economics. Look, and if you don't believe that happened over the last 10, 15, 20, 30 years in this country, you don't know shit. It did happen. And, you know, we elected George Bush. Well, we thought he was like his father. He was no more like he had nothing to do with his father. He was night and day. To his father, the only thing he had in common with his father was his name. His father was a patriot. His father was shot down in World War II. His father and his mother, dynamic thinking people. Now, granted, I didn't agree with a lot of their philosophy, but he was a good man. Like all of our presidents have really, you know, you could disagree with them and you can hate on all, but every president we've had in my lifetime were pretty well decent men. They were decent men. You know, George H. Bush was a man of integrity. So was Reagan. Okay, Nixon, you know, but you know, I don't think Nixon was evil spirit. Yeah. Now, I didn't agree with any of their philosophies. I didn't agree with Carter's philosophy. You know, I didn't agree with probably hardly any of his philosophies because we didn't have, but they were good. George Bush was a radical religious nut. I mean, It's fascism. You know, we spilled it over and Fox News participated in this. You know, this is philosophies. If you don't think philosophy matters, oh, it fucking matters. And fucking the great science fiction economist, fucking Greenspan, there's your fucking culprit of all this fucking evilness. But I'm going to put out these sources. I'm no fucking crackpot. You know, I don't get in fucking here and start talking about finance or geopolitics or atomic veterans. I know what the fuck I'm talking about. Years of hard work. It's what I'm about. I'm going to put them on. You go to my site. Again, this book, Leonard Bird's, and his sources is amazing. It's amazing. One of my people, one of my early subscribers, he says, Kevin, you got to read this. He's a documentary filmmaker. And I said, I know all about Leonard Bird. I've never read the book. I know about the book. I've never read it. And of course, Mary Dixon's, I love her work. Incredible work. So I read it. It's a great book. It'll teach you a lot. And there are the long-term effects of nuclear radiation cause cancer. Low doses cause cancer. They give people leukemia. All this documentation proves it. My research proves it. The very own government's research. They guinea pig these human lab rats. They guinea pig these human lab rats like my father, 40,000, right to their fucking deaths. They documented them. They documented their fucking children. And they fucking kept it closed. And it was only lawsuits by people like these people that I just listed that went after it, that forced the government under the Freedom of Information. They still fucking fight you tooth and nail to give you anything. And as far as politicians, you got this asshole in fucking Hawaii who grandstands this fucking issue. And some of these assholes in fucking Utah grandstand, they're evil fucks. And you know what? I'm going to call them out. You watch this next election cycle. I got some people behind me. I got some people that I know that are freaking going to turn, are going to try to put this into the forefront and get this out there so the atomic veterans and the United States population knows what really went on as far as nuclear exposure. And fucking what's going on. You watched my video the other day. about who's running the show on the nuclear energy, the regulator, who it is. I mean, this is a fucking scam. Stay with me. I'll be pouring all kinds of information out there. blanchschwarz, I'm going to, give me a minute, because I've got to build the page right now. But right at the top, I'll post it and put all these sources. Kevin Blanch.